Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
This is Financial Issues, where we help you defund darkness and fund the light by investing with biblical integrity. Wonderful to have you all with us this morning. Seth Samuel Case, and your host, Mark Minnella. Mark, I am ready for another show. It's great to have you, brother.
It is good to be here, and welcome everyone. Let's just go ahead and dig in.
Let's have some fun. Yeah, we want to hear from you folks. 610-363-1110. 610-363-1110. A couple things you can call in about today, folks, if you'd like. Some questions, maybe. If you have questions about yesterday's sell alert, we did issue a sell alert yesterday with a couple holdings. You can call in and ask about that. 610-363-1110. Of course, that's for partners only. You would be the only ones who would know about that. If you want to become a partner, you can do that right now at financialissues.org. But call in to ask about that. Also, is it fair, very interesting, is it fair for married couples to have certain estate planning advantages that non-married couples do? We might talk about that later in the show. Call in and give us your opinion. 610-363-1110. And how comfortable are you in investing in cryptocurrency? I'll ask that question again. How comfortable are you in investing in cryptocurrency? Tell us at 610-363-1110. Mark, I'm excited to hear your thoughts about that, but maybe we'll save that and give our audience a chance to call in. Again, 610-363-1110. You know, interesting news headline that we saw here, fellas. It's looking like there was I guess you could call it a crypto trial that turned into a mistrial, where there were these guys who were engaging in some crypto stuff that a lot of people thought this is illegal or unethical, but apparently it wasn't. Sam, give us the details on this. What is going on here in the world of cryptocurrency?
All right, I'm going to be honest, Seth. This case is really complicated, so I'm going to try my best here. So a federal judge declared a mistrial last week when the jury was deadlocked in this fraud case, or alleged fraud case, of two brothers who made, get this, $25 million in a single crypto trade in just 12 seconds. This was using a complex trading bot scheme. I guess essentially it comes down to they tricked trading bots to making predictable moves, and when the bots fell for it, they swiped in and took the cash with a program of their own. That's a very, very simple version of explaining it, but that's essentially what happened. So the brothers are claiming in this case, hey, what we did was legal. All it was is aggressive trading in this unregulated wild west of the crypto market, and because that's the case, you can't prove what we did was wrong in any way, and apparently that really threw the jury for a loop. They were saying they were so stressed out about this, they could not decide what the case was, that they were losing sleep, they were breaking down in tears. I'll leave that up to you to decide, is that because the case is complicated, or perhaps we need some more, stable jurors. But anyway, this is now the third major crypto fraud case this year where prosecutors were unable to secure a conviction just because the case was so complicated.
Mark, should a jury be allowed to break down and weep and gnash their teeth in the middle of a ruling?
What was interesting, Seth, is they said they agreed on the details of the case. So they weren't saying that they were confused about what happened. What they were confused about was the vagaries in the law to decide if this actually was illegal, and they just couldn't decide.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting to me, because if we have a prosecutor who is bringing a case, I don't know if this was brought by a prosecutor, was this a private suit, but let's assume it's a prosecutor. They should have had their ducks in a row on what the law is on that and isn't on that. In the stock market arena, if you're manipulating the market, that's against the law. So now that doesn't mean it is in crypto yet, because crypto has not had the Congress oversight on it yet, has not had the laws all put into place. Now, I believe the SEC is slowly taking over oversight on crypto, but I'm not sure yet. And that's the problem. Nobody quite knows. The Congress is 10 years behind on this, assigning who has oversight in these markets. So I can see where there's a couple of problems. One, obviously the prosecutor didn't have their ducks in a row, did not have their arguments right. Two, if they did have them right, they did a terrible job picking the jurors, because why would you ever have people who are going to break down and have a nervous breakdown into crying and gnashing of teeth while they're debating it? You know, it just wouldn't make sense. So I think it has something to do with the jurisdiction it was in and how they chose the jurors and who was prosecuting, as much as the vagueness of the Wild West.
But then again, yeah, this is 3 for 3, Mark. So apparently they picked unstable jurors 3 times and presented poor cases. So they need to get their stuff together.
Yeah, I wonder if it was the same prosecutor.
Just the same guy, yeah.
But
you're right, Mark. They need to figure this out.
Maybe we need to look at to see if it was the same judge on all 3 of these.
Right, yeah. But this is becoming a real problem. I'm seeing as of just the first half of this year, we've had $3 billion worth of crypto stolen this year alone.
Right. Well, that's an estimate. It'd probably be more than that, really. That's probably what they could track. That's stolen. That's not fraud. That's not manipulation of the market. So that's different. Stolen, that's where somebody gets into your account and just takes it out. That's different than somebody playing the markets and creating some trades that cause bots to go crazy and then playing on that. So I think that's totally different. But yeah, it is a Wild West. There's a reason why we are stepping in very, very slowly to this. And it's because when we talk about investing here, we talk about finding stocks that are made of steel. That is our thought on this. You want stocks that have increasing revenue, increasing profits. We want earnings. You know, we want stocks that aren't over leveraged. We want stocks that are made well and have long-term potential. In the digital coin arena, there's no such thing. There's no meat to these things, so you can't play them like that. There's no way to do a fundamentals check on what this Bitcoin is or what this Ethereum is, it's just air anyway. So you don't have the same way to move into that market. And we don't want to just jump in and say, okay, here's what the technicals are saying. We got a 50 over a 200, or the price of this digital coin is now surpassing its 50-day, and just use just use it that way, because there's flaws in that as well. So we got to be very careful. And when we don't have good oversight, then it ends up in people losing gobs of money. And I'm thinking in this market, in the crypto market, it's more like a casino than it is an investment still.
So, Mark, what I'm getting from that is, and again, you can chime in, folks, at 610-363-1110, what you think of cryptocurrency. We probably, at least for today, probably won't be changing the allocations much to align with a large crypto percentage.
Much to your daughter's disappointment, Seth, right? Much to my daughter's
disappointment. We love talking about Bitcoin. She loves it. She drew a central bank digital currency the other day. And I'm like, how do you even know what that is? That's exactly what it is. So,
yeah, she's
kids these days.
She's scaring me.
Mark, can I ask a question? So,
sure.
What would be a necessary regulation that would need to be made to make this less of a Wild West while still keeping the novelty, the things that are appealing about crypto in play? Because part of the appeal is that it's not hyper-regulated. So what's
Sam,
the solution
I'm glad you asked that, because, Mark, when I hear government regulation, my first thought is that's also bad. So, yeah, as to what Sam said there, what are your thoughts?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to think it was wrong that my parents would regulate me, too. But there needs to be regulations on this. Otherwise, there doesn't need to be. People are welcome to just go in and risk everything and do these kind of things. I don't have any problems with that. But when the whole society is getting involved in this, then maybe it is important to have the guardrails up. The term already hyper-regulation came. There's not hyper-regulation in this at all. We need some oversight to determine what is legal in this arena and what isn't legal. When is it fraud and when is it manipulation of the markets? Without that, we will have people that will outright steal from one another. Now, maybe they didn't do. Maybe it wasn't legally wrong, but was it morally wrong? And we got to think about those kind of things. As believers, we have to look at this and say, maybe it's not legally wrong at this time, but is it morally wrong to manipulate the markets, to trick somebody, deceive somebody, and some things into dumping money and losing it all, or have it taken away by those who are manipulating it? Well, there's moral values there. And we as believers need to know that. And we can walk into that with a different mindset. But those same moral values need to be transformed into oversight so that our whole society will be able to be safe in that environment. Safe in the sense that they won't be stolen. and these dumb news articles about them.
Yeah, well said. Folks, we want to hear from you. Listen, if you agree with us, disagree, call in right now. The phone lines are wide open. 610-363-1110. That's the beauty of this show, is we invite you to join the conversation, and we invite you to share your opinion about it as well. 610-363-1110. You can call in right now. Interesting conversation, to be sure, fellas. On the other side of this break, we got more to talk about here, folks. We'll get to that other interesting topic that we were looking at here about the certain estate planning advantages when it comes to married couples and how that relates to some different things going on in the culture. All that and more on financial issues when we get back after this break.
There are moments in life that define us. Read carefully before investing.
Are you tired of the chaos? There are a lot of things that make noise, but only a few that truly matter. As a parent, I want to leave something that will last for a long time.
You invest $300 a month increase on unregulated by the time you retire.
Not just an inheritance of money, but a legacy of godly values.
Here at Financial Issues, we want to help you grow your money, but our main goal is to help you honor God with the money that He's given you.
Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
If a woman sees her baby on ultrasound, it doubles the likelihood that she'll choose life. And on top of that, we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with her. This is why you should support preborn. The donations that you give actually make a difference. Last year, 59,000 babies were saved because of what you have done with your generosity.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
610-363-1110. Join the conversation right now, folks. 610-363-1110. Mark, as you were talking about certain things, we were talking about cryptocurrency in the first segment, and specifically cryptocurrency fraudulent behavior and how it might not technically be illegal, but it's certainly immoral. It brought to mind two other things that I think we need to remember. There, just because things are technically not against the law, it doesn't mean that Christians should partake in them. Abortion is one of them. Abortion is legal in a lot of areas in this country. And how about adultery too? So many people commit adultery. Right. There's no laws against it, but it's immoral. We shouldn't do it. It's that simple.
As believers, we shouldn't participate in these things that are immoral. Now, a little comment that happened during the break was that I think it was either Luke or Grant. Somebody said something about the idea that having any regulation over cryptocurrency would defeat the purpose of it. And I kind of agree with that. But I also realized that in the early days, cryptocurrency main purpose was for illicit purposes, for sex, slaves and drugs and all sorts of craziness, so that it couldn't be registered with the government and so that they couldn't see these things going on. I brought that up to my son, who's a very brilliant young man, and he mentioned, I said, and on top of that, it's not a real currency. It's not based on anything. He said, U.S. dollars haven't ever been used for drugs and sex and isn't based on anything. So he blew that argument right out of the water.
Actually, was what about cash? But
yeah. But it does get to the notion, like you said, of certain types of whatever you want to call it, currencies can be more easily manipulated to be more across the board used for things like that than, for example, the U.S. dollar. I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's any immoral use of anything. Guns don't kill people; people kill people. Right. Crypto doesn't traffic children. People traffic children. It's the same thing. I like the idea of freedom. I like the idea of all that, and yet at the same time, how do I balance that with protecting the weak and the weary and the the little children and everything at the same time? Should there be some guardrails put up? Should there be some regulations so that people aren't taken advantage of, so people aren't manipulated like that? I don't know if you could ever regulate anything enough to keep some people from being manipulated, because they're going to walk right into anything no matter what. I mean, I still know people who open up emails from princes in Saudi or in some foreign country and send them money. So, I don't know if you can protect everybody. So it's something to balance still. And I think that's something God wants us to do, is to be thinking about that. How do we protect the children and the weak at the same time? Let freedom run so you have a decision to make. God gave us free will so we can make decisions. And he also gave us a brain to use in making those decisions, to seek godly wisdom to make those decisions. So do we just let the markets all go wide open and then end up with a market crash like 1929 because nobody's regulating it enough? Or do we put some guide rails on it to keep that from happening again? Well said. That's the thoughts with crypto.
Yep. 610-363-1110. If you've got thoughts to share about crypto, we'd love to hear them, folks. 610-363-1110. Guys, let's get to a winning Wednesday here. I think this is really exciting news. Sam, give us the update here on the Supreme Court. Now, there's been some unfortunate news in the Supreme Court as well, which we'll get to in just a moment. But there is some good news regarding, the question of gender and sexuality. What can you give us there, Sam?
Biological struggle. Well, it is a win, but it's kind of sad that it had to be a win here, and that is that the Supreme Court last week ruled that the Trump administration can require Americans to mark their biological sex on their pass. This is something that Trump wanted to change. The court said this is no more offensive than requiring passport holders to name their country of birth. They said in both cases, the government is merely attesting to a fact without subjecting anyone to differential treatment.
So it seems like common sense is winning the day, Mark, here. I mean, I'm certainly a fan of that,
I agree. It just makes sense. First of all, why do we have passports? It's because countries that protect the country of Petrie. So if we're sending out passports with misinformation on it, then we're not helping those other countries. So should we expect them to give people passports that lie about people's age, sex, and everything else as well, or citizenship and those kind of things? We can't do that. It was the right decision, bottom line.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, the Supreme Court does not get all decisions right. And as we saw also, it does look like that the Supreme Court didn't even allow the opportunity to take the case that could have led to the downfall of Obergefell. Sam, could you give us the update here with this one as well?
Pretty simply put, they refused to take up the case. We don't really know why. The court just said, we're not taking this up at this time. For some background here, this was a case brought by that county clerk, Kim Davis. She was fined and jailed back in the day because she refused to issue a marriage license to a same-sex couple. She said that violated her religious freedoms, and she was bringing this all the way way to the top with the hopes this would bring this back before the court to reevaluate that original 2015 decision. Although there is a question as if Obergefell was overturned, what would happen with gay marriage in the United States as President Biden's Respect for Marriage Act, as it's called, would still protect same-sex marriage at the federal level.
This is interesting. You know, I think it's important, Mark, to just point out this was a case that our friends over at Liberty Counsel, Matt Staver and his team, were very, very close on. I believe they were representing Kim Davis in this. We're going to try to get Matt on sometime soon. They've obviously been very busy with all this stuff, so hopefully within the next week or two. But, Mark, what do you make of this just kind of right off the bat?
You know, it's very complex. I have to say that I believe it's very complex. If you have a job description that says this is what you're supposed to do, and your beliefs do not allow you to do that, why are you applying for that job, first of all?
Yeah.
You know, not to take the wrong side on this, but I think that maybe that plays a little bit into this as well. I disagree with what the job position requires and the laws that were put in place require there. But at the same time, did she take this job before they imposed these regulations?
Mark, I believe, I'm almost certain in this case, she was already a county clerk. Yeah. The laws changed, and immediately people were coming to her saying, I want this marriage license. She says, I'm a Christian. I can't do that.
Yeah, and in that case, I can understand.
And I believe she got other people to get the marriage license for her. She said, I can't do it, but I'll get someone who can do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, and that makes sense then. But, you know, I was thinking about this just a little bit. See if you can track this with me. She got jailed and fined for not doing her job, right?
Correct.
That's the bottom line, right?
Correct.
Why aren't we jailing and fining Congress at this moment?
Good question.
For not doing their job.
Really good question.
If you can do that to a clerk, why can't you do that to Congress? It's the same thing. Where are the prosecutors? Why aren't they on top of this? If a congressman or congresswoman is not doing their job, if they're not showing up for work, if they're shutting down our government that way, why can't we fine them and put them in jail? We don't have to stop their pay. I know that's constitutional that they're to get paid, so we can't take that away. But why don't we fine them equal to or double what their pay is as long as they're not doing their job?
I know, Mark,
just
you're exactly right.
Put them in timeout until they can reopen the government. The tough thing
about this, guys, it's unfortunate, but this is the way that it is. The same people who jailed Kim Davis for her Christian faith are also the ones who we're asking for accountability for, Mark. It's the same people. I operate under the mindset of there's probably quite a few more criminals in our Congress than we would like to admit. And I'm not accusing any of them of doing anything in particular other than what you just said, Mark, of they've engaged in some really, really terrible behavior for not doing their job. The same thing that Kim Davis got jailed for, obviously different circumstances. But yeah, it's gross.
We're rushing near the speed of light over a cliff, a debt cliff that we'll never be able to come back from. And Congress is out there doing drama and not actually doing their job. So I say fine them and put them in jail. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Mark, this is an interesting thing here. Let me just bring this up with the time that we have left in this segment. And folks, you can chime in at 610-363-1110. Obviously, we stand resolutely with Kim Davis. We believe that marriage it's actually not a marriage if it's between a man and a man or a woman and a woman.
I know, Seth. I was unfortunately I had to call it marriage just for flow of conversation. Exactly. Even Biden's Respect for Marriage Act is a disrespect for marriage act. But that's what it was called, so I had to go with it.
It's a bunch of nonsense and gobbledygook. That's exactly right. But Mark, it does bring up an interesting question. We tee this up at the top of the show. When you're looking at estate planning, there are rules in our country that protect married couples. Now, unfortunately, it also includes people in homosexual civil unions that is colloquially called marriage that we know is actually not. It includes those as well. But what do you make of all that, Mark, especially from an estate planning perspective? If you have someone who is not married but genuinely wants to be able to have the same rights to leave a gift to someone who they're not married to but they're a friend of or a sibling, what do you make of all that, Mark?
Well, the government uses taxes and it uses laws to help promote different aspects of society, which it believes is beneficial for society in a whole. Unfortunately, some of those ideas are from liberal or far left, and some of them are from conservative and far right. So it gets a little muddy with that. But, it seems a little bit unfair that I can leave my IRA to my wife and she doesn't ever have to, if I left it to you, Seth, you'd have to sell it off within a certain amount of time because I'm leaving it to you. For my wife, she just gets to claim it as hers and carry on with it. So there's different rules. Here, this is made to help keep the family intact and encourage people to have a family unit. I can see why that's a good thing, but on the other hand, it feels just a little unfair. So if you have like two brothers who really care about each other, maybe they were both married at one time and their wives have passed away and they spent the last 30 years living together, they can't leave estates the same way that a wife and a husband could leave. So there's some issues here. That's one of the issues with the Marriage Act. Now, the other thing is, like you're saying, it really isn't marriage. So if it's a man and man, a woman and woman, because marriage is actually a biblical term to explain a man and a woman coming together and being as one, but having the provisions without major complications to help people to have the same benefits or the same rights might be a good idea as well. So there's a lot to talk about in this.
Yeah. We might need to come back on the other side of the break and give some more insight on that, Mark. It's an interesting conversation. We see the phones are lighting up here, folks. Join the conversation. There's still a line open, 610-363-1110. Get your call queued up right now. We'll get you in. 610-363-1110. We'll be right back after this.
I started investing close to 30 years ago now. All that time, I had never heard anyone talk about setting up your portfolio in a way that glorifies God. When I first heard about it, I was listening to the radio, a show called Financial Issues. They were teaching people how to honor God with their money. That made a lot of sense to me. I guard my heart, my mind. I watch my mouth, hoping to bring glory to God in everything I do and say. Well, why wouldn't I want to do the same with my money? I decided I wanted my portfolio to glorify God. I became a partner with Financial Issues, and it's been one of the best decisions I've made. I want to leave a legacy of godliness for those who are following in my footsteps. Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
When a woman comes into a center, she's being pressured from her family, from her friends, by her circumstances, by the rhetoric of the culture to believe that this is a quick and easy way out. If a woman sees her baby on ultrasound, it doubles the likelihood that she'll choose life. And on top of that, we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with her. This is why you should support preborn. The donations that you give actually make a difference. Last year, 59,000 babies were saved because of what you have done and with your generosity. And so we just encourage you to make a difference at whatever degree you can, whether you can do a $28 contribution for one ultrasound, whether you can underwrite an ultrasound machine for $15,000 or 10 ultrasound machines for $150,000. Where does the Lord have you so that you can make a difference?
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
610-363-1110. You know, Mark, we got a couple calls in the queue here. I would love to give you some time to finish up your thoughts on what we were just talking about in that previous segment there. I find it...
You know, let's go ahead and go to the calls.
Sounds good.
And that way we make sure we get them in.
Good call.
We don't run out of time.
Yes, pun intended. Good call. Let's start here with Nelson. Nelson's calling from Louisiana.
I guess we'll see, won't we? Welcome, Nelson. What's on your mind this morning?
Hey, guys, in the chat, we're talking about the sell on FP42. Let me let you know, I sold it. I pay attention by hard lessons to sell when a sell is issued. However, the question comes up that we understand the base company is having some legal issues, potential fraud, but it's a preferred, and isn't the preferred shares ahead of the common shares? So why are we selling FP42, I guess is the question.
Well, mostly I would say the primary reason is because of the investigation that's going on, the fraud that they're being, accused on. If that's true, if any of that's true, then the data we're getting on that stock is not correct. The data we're getting about the company is incorrect. And they also have substantial debt and management fees that are out of control. So what we're looking at here is this stock that we thought was made out of steel is more rust right now than it is steel. Maybe it'll come back, maybe it won't, but it's not worth the risk right now across the board. And even a preferred, you're saying, yeah, a preferred will get paid first, but that could be 3-5 years down the road as everything's settled out, and if they don't go bankrupt from the fraud and the allegations and that kind of stuff, they may not be paying the dividend anyway on anything because of the debt and I think they'll have negative earnings and negative growth going on because of that. So why stay in it? Why risk it for that long when we could redeploy it to somewhere and maybe make money along the way? And if they ever get their act together, we'll be happy to come back and take a look at it.
That's a very thorough answer, and I appreciate it because I think there were quite a few of us. And in the chat, most of us have said we went ahead and sold it. I think a lot of us, like I said, have learned the hard way. I had a stock I bought at 16. Dan told us to sell it. It went down to $1, and I held it when it came back up to 8. I finally sold it at 8, but I should have listened to Dan. So that's the hard lesson, just so everybody understands how hard a lesson that was. So thank you for the answer, Mark, and God bless you guys.
Thank you, Nelson. And we do put a lot of thought and a lot of research into these things. We don't just do a sell alert just because I'm tired of the stock or anything. It is serious thought and research to make it happen. So
it's kind of like a weird testimony there. Listen to us when we issue that sell alert. We know what we're talking about.
That's good. And Nelson, we appreciate you being the mouthpiece of the chat, brother. We love it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Nelson. Thank you for your call.
It's good stuff. Mark, let's get to Sherry. Sherry is calling from Texas.
Hi, Sherry. Good morning. What's on your mind today?
Nice to meet you. I've been a partner for almost 10 years now, and
thanks, Sherry.
I'm very grateful for all that Dan and every one of you has taught us. And I just want to say, I'm 59, be 60 next month, and my account has grown over 100,000 in the last 2 years consecutively. And due to what you guys do for us, it's just I'm almost at 500,000 in my investment accounts, and I want to say I just appreciate you guys so much, all that you do. My question is, Sherry. I have an individual account that I'm just holding about 25,000. Part of that is my emergency fund. But I want to invest about 10,000 in something that's not really going to grow. It's in a money market. It's making about 4% right now, and I don't know if should I just leave that and just kind of, if I have, availability invest, I just don't want to invest in something that's going to grow a lot where I'm going to have to pay taxes on it.
Well, okay, let's address, there's multiple parts to this question, and I'd like to address each one, and hopefully I won't forget one before I get to the end of the first. The first is, if you're paying taxes on something, that means you've been blessed. Let's look at it this way. I have a dollar bill and I give it to you, but if I give it to you and you take it, you got to give me 20 cents back, okay? How many times do you want to do that?
Sherry, I'll say like 1 million. How about that? Can we do that?
You want to do it as many times as I would do that, right? So we don't, you know, the idea of not having to pay taxes on something because we made money on it is the same thing. You invest $1, or you invest $1 and it grows to $2. So effectively, you've been given $1 and you have to give 10 to 30 cents back. We would do that over and over again. So don't think of it that way. Think of it as, praise God, thank you for the blessing, Lord, and I'm going to pay my on to Caesar's what is Caesar's, and I'm going to take the gains that I made to your glory and utilize them for your purposes. I mean, that's one way to be able to look at that. But at this point, let's go to the other issue the other thought I had is being in a money market at 4%, nothing wrong with that. If you went into a REIT, which has risk in it, downside risk of value, you might make 5-6%. If you went into a preferred, you still have downside. And maybe at the most you'll make 6 to 9% in a preferred. I mean, if you're making it 9%, I don't know how long it'll keep doing that, that kind of thing. So you have to take on additional risk. If you are going to use that money ever here in the next 3 to 5 years for emergency fund, you probably don't want it in a risky asset. So keep it in a money market or laddering some CDs that at the worst you're going to get charged. There's some CDs out there now that don't even have penalties anymore. We talked about that on an earlier show. I can't remember off the top of my head what bank that was. Marcus, it might have been, or something like that. But so you can invest in those and maybe get a little more than your money market, or maybe not, because money markets seem to be mirroring short-term CDs at this time. So I think you're in a good place is the bottom line of what I'm saying. Keep your eyes out for some CDs that might be paying better, that are short-term, that don't have major penalties. Usually a CD penalty is like the last 3 months interest, so that's not a bad deal if you needed to get out of it, if you're making a couple percentage points more than the money market anyway.
And I am kind of using some of that each year to off what I can put into a Roth.
Excellent.
I'm only matching up to the minimum with my work. So then I've got another Roth with Fidelity that whatever I don't meet with my company, then I'm putting the remainder into my Roth at Fidelity.
Well, that's excellent. It sounds like you got a lot of things together. It sounds like you're thinking right, and it sounds like you're executing right. And on top of that, those kind words at the beginning of our conversation, I really appreciate that too. But give the glory to God, because we're only here because God allowed us to be here and is allowing us to walk in these works. Thank you, Sherry.
Well done, Sherry. Yeah, you're doing a great job. Mark, it's no wonder that she's done so well. I'm grateful that she's followed us, but she's also put in the work and done a great job. Excellent work, Sherry. Hey, we got the Ag Report coming here, folks, and then we want to hear from you. Phone lines are open, 610-363-1110. Here comes Craig.
This is Craig Haugaard with your weekly financial issues Ag Focus. Today we'll take a quick look at grain farm profitability as well as soybean demand. The repayment capacity of grain farms has been rapidly deteriorating, especially since 2022. A recent study by the University of Illinois shows a sharp decline across all farm sizes in capital replacement and term debt repayment margins, or CRTDR. Those are funds that remain after covering living expenses, taxes, principals and interest on term debt and or capital leases. It's a good measure of a producer's ability to replace capital assets such as farm machinery and equipment, or take on additional term debt with maturities of greater than a year. For medium-sized farms, which are defined as those with returns between $350,000 and $1 million, the median CRTDR margin fell from a positive $155,293 in 2022 to a negative margin of minus $36,953 in 2024. And for large grain farms, farms, defined as those with returns greater than $1 million, the median CRTDR margin peaked in 2022 at $409,150 and then declined sharply to a negative $82,541 in 2024. Now, the deterioration in CRTDR margin helps explain the decline in demand for farm equipment and machinery in recent years, and it's going to have an impact on companies that are in the agricultural marketing space. Shifting our focus to the soybean market, we know that the traders have been very focused on Chicago and the tariffs, but in spite of those problems, the domestic demand is very, very strong. The U.S. soybean crush likely accelerated to a new record in September. Looks like we crushed 205.4 million bushels of soybeans as new crush plants started to ramp up production. Despite the record crush pace, crushers are experiencing some headwinds from regulatory uncertainty. In their quarterly financial report released just last week, ADM reported lower crush margins due to international trade disruption and a lack of clarity on biofuel policy. That's caused refiners to slow biofuel production, specifically the renewable diesel, which of course is what soybeans are used for. What the government does with the biofuels program is probably going to hold the key to soybean prices. We'll need to keep an eye on that moving forward. This has been Craig Haugaard with your Financial Issues Ag Focus. We'll be right back with more financial issues after this.
I started investing close to 30 years ago now. All that time, I had never heard anyone talk about setting up your portfolio in a way that glorifies God. When I first heard about it, I was listening to the radio, a show called Financial Issues. They were teaching people how to honor God with their money. I became a partner with Financial Issues, and it's been one of the best decisions I've made. Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
Where's Mima? We found out Shepard's diagnosis when I was about 17 weeks pregnant. We learned that he was going to need a series of surgeries after he was born in order to give him what they considered a normal life. And we weren't sure how this worked.
Yeah, very emotional, very, very broken. And as my wife just said, not sure how this worked. And called Samaritan, and they said, you just go have that baby. You leave the rest to us.
And just to hear the confidence on the other end of the phone of this is not something that you need to be concerned about at all. You focus on the health of your family, the health of your baby, and we will walk with you every step of the way.
Preborn is making motherhood possible for thousands of moms across America.
I found out that I was pregnant. My family, they were like, no, you're not having this baby. I met Miss Linda. She offered to get me an ultrasound. That's where I very first heard the heartbeat. It was really a great thing that I was led to the choice to keep him.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
Hey, 610-363-1110. Bob, I see you in the chat there, brother. It's a good question. We'll try to get to it if we have time today. If not today, we'll tee it up for tomorrow. You still got time to call in, by the way, folks. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. Why put off until tomorrow that which can be done today? I was saying that during the break, guys. Benjamin Franklin, right? Did he say that? Someone in the chat correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's...
It sounds good that he said it. Let's just go with it.
Let's just go with it. Yeah, do it today, folks. 610-363-1110. Mark Wesley is calling from Idaho this morning.
Alrighty. Good morning, Wesley. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm commenting on the cryptocurrency that we were invited to comment on early this morning in the first portion. I do not believe cryptocurrency will ever be a viable investment. Now, in the past, I have played the crypto casino. I talked with Shanna and Seth about that some time ago. But I have even stopped doing the crypto casinos sort of thing, using it as a trading.
I notice an emphasis on casino. And I appreciate that. Right now, I think it is a Wild West. It is a casino. There isn't the regulation that's needed. There's more regulation in Las Vegas than there is in crypto land. So I think you're classifying it correctly. Yet for an investor, we want to invest in something that has value behind it, a company. That is even more so than, I knew I had a good friend who all he did was trade currency, which is very similar to trading crypto, since it really doesn't have any value besides the taxing ability of the country behind it. But at least that's something. Cryptocurrency doesn't even have that. But when you're investing in the stock market, you do have a company that has assets, it has real estate, it has products, it has accounts receivable. It actually has something behind it. So to make it of value and to be able. So I get what you're saying, Wesley, and I agree with you on that. We got to be very, very careful right now. It is truly ultimate speculation, if not just gambling at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I know of only one token that is backed by actual real estate. I cannot remember the name of it, but even that, I mean, it's still speculatory at best.
Yeah, and sometime in the future, we'll start seeing them. They have tried to use digital coins to launch IPOs for companies, to raise money for companies. But you got to be careful about that yet, since it's not regulated enough. And they got sued over it by the SEC, saying you can't do that. This comes under SEC regulations, not cryptocurrency, if you're raising money for a corporate. So we're going to see the use of it, and we're going to see the use of everything behind it in the future. And I think at that point, we might be able to say, okay, this is a good idea here, or this is a good idea there. But right now, we're not doing that. It hasn't grown up enough. We still have. It's still in infancy, and it's still it's worse than the Wild West. It's like going into space. It's hostile and it's crazy. So if you're going out there, be careful. We hope you don't lose everything and or get taken to the cleaners by people who are manipulating bots, that are manipulating the system, who are able to break codes and get into your accounts. So Wesley, thank you for your comments. Appreciate that. And I think you're on track right now. God bless you, sir.
Yeah, Wesley, that is really important. Mark, it's a good reminder. We understand that we bear a level of risk when we do investing, biblically responsible investing or any type of investing. But there's wisdom too. That wisdom balances out the risk, where we don't have to take a foolish risk. We can take a wise risk, and there's still a risk, but it's bound by wisdom. And I think that's the way that the Bible prescribes for us.
And it's really based on actual realities you can analyze. As people often say about crypto, it's just based on vibes and hype. So it's all about emotion. I mean, it's to the point where sometimes people will post a meme and that will send a crypto going up. I think that happened with Elon Musk once.
My son, who's head of AI for a major banking corporation, he told me about this gentleman who created like 100 different coins in one day and put them on the market through the different exchanges, and made several $100,000 before they removed them from the market, realizing that this was nothing. This was just somebody creating these coins just to make money off of them. So there's all sorts of scams out there that will continue on until we do get some regulation. What is a real digital currency and what isn't, and that kind of thing. So
good stuff, Mark. Very good. Hey, we have a Mark calling in the queue right now. It's the Double Mark Show. Mark from Texas is calling to talk to Mark from St. Louis.
Hi, Mark. How you doing? I love your name.
Hey, I love yours too. I'm doing great. How about y'all?
Good.
Mark, I feel left out because I don't have the same name you guys do.
But we love your name too, Seth.
Thank you.
What's on your mind, Mark?
Well, I've got a 401k. I'm nearly 68. I'm still working, drawing Social Security, and I was wanting to move that into a biblically responsible fund of some sort. I've looked at the Timothy Fund a little bit. I haven't heard you guys before. I listened to this station quite a bit, but I never catch it this morning. So anyway, I was wondering, do y'all have a financial counselor in this area, or is...
We usually don't make recommendations on counselors because many of them do not follow, even those who are claiming to be biblically responsible in a part of their practice. That tells me they're not fully biblical responsible. So we're very careful about that. But here, I have a couple of points. Let me share these with you, Mark. It's not hard. You can just transfer your 401k to any decent platform like Fidelity or Schwab or somewhere like that, and into an IRA, a trustee to trustee transfer, so you don't get taxed on it. And then at that broker dealer, you can then start utilizing different stocks, bonds, or mutual funds like the Timothy Plan to actually start investing those funds in. And the third point I'd make, if you're just starting to listen to financial issues, is you may want to become a partner, because as a partner, we have a whole thing called a Partners Hub. If you go out to financial issues and on the web and look at it, there's a Partners Hub, and in there we have asset allocation for different risk class. We have, of that asset allocation, we then go into the different funds, stocks, bonds, REITs that are biblically clean that you can choose from to fulfill that. And then if those ever break down, as you might have heard, we were talking about one this morning, I think it was Cody, that has broken down over time. Even though we bought it for a long-term buy, over time it looks like they're being audited for some increase. Their income has decreased. It's gotten a little rusty, so we put a sell alert on it, to help our investors, our partners, to do those things. And it's very cheap. It's only like $132 a year, Mark. Only $132 a year. When they invited me to be the host of Financial Issues, I thought it was $132 a month, and I was going to tell them to raise the price then, because of all the information and the analytics and the stuff we do in the background, to the strategic management we do to give information and education to all our partners. So I really would suggest you do that. And that would help you a whole lot, because there's all sorts of educational videos. There's all sorts of guidance back there for you that you can utilize and customize to whoever you are in Christ, and that fits your life.
Mark from Texas, the place to go is financialissues.org. Do you have a pen? Do you want to write that down, or can you remember that?
I already wrote it down.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, God bless you, sir. And thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you, and God bless y'all. Have a good day.
God bless.
You too,
You
brother.
too. And that was it. Yeah, that was an excellent call, because that's exactly what things are really all about here. Our goal is to help individuals invest with biblical integrity, to help them utilize God's resources that He's entrusted to you for God's purposes, which one of them is to take care of you and your family, and then to help you be a conduit of those blessings to others and to His glory. And by doing that, it comes down to investing with biblical integrity. And we want to do that, help you to do that. And we do that through educational videos, the online shows that we have, like now we're doing the radio, the television, the online shows we're doing, plus all the educational videos, plus the asset allocation models that we tweak on a regular basis, plus all the buy, sell, and hold alerts that we put on the site that you can review and decide how to utilize in your portfolio. So the whole goal is to help you to do the best you can with what God has given you and entrusted to you. And I think that the more people know about this, the easier it will be for them to come around to that and to be able to glorify God. And one of the things I like about that is it makes me feel good when I do something that honors God. I can feel His joy, and I believe others can too. And you can do that in your investments. And I know most of you who are watching or listening do, and the rest of you can join the team. So thank you for watching. Thank you for loving God, and thank you for investing with integrity. And I hope to see you tomorrow. God bless everyone.
we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.